Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge headfirst into the most critical reports and research so you don't have to. The world of AI is moving at such a blistering pace. It feels like every other week there's some new breakthrough. It just completely reshapes the landscape. It's exhilarating, sure, but also, let's be honest, maybe a little overwhelming to keep up with everything. So, our mission today is really to cut through some of that noise. We're taking a deep dive into the early findings of the 2025 State of AI Engineering Survey. This was conducted by Amplify. It's a pretty comprehensive survey, gathered insights from 500 respondents, which gives us this unique on the ground perspective of what AI engineering looks like right now, and importantly, where it's actually headed. So think of this as your shortcut, okay, to understanding the essential trends and some genuinely surprising facts too, helping you grasp what AI engineers are actually building, the challenges they're grappling with, and, well, the shifts defining their work. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. And it's fascinating how the very definition of an AI engineer is still, well, it's very much in flux, right? Even as the field explodes. One of the most striking initial findings from this survey, and this was presented at an AI engineering conference, no less, was just how few respondents actually hold the title AI engineer.
That really jumped out at me too. I mean, you're at an AI engineering conference, hundreds of people,
Yeah.
and when you ask them, hardly any have that specific title. So they held other roles like software engineer, data scientist.
Exactly. Software engineer, data scientist, machine learning engineer. Lots of different titles.
Well,
But they consider themselves to be doing the exact same kind of work.
mm. So what does that title fluidity actually tell us about, the state of AI development right now?
Well, I think it's more than just a quirky HR detail. It kind of suggests a highly skill-driven environment,
Uh-huh.
almost meritocratic, maybe. Like what you do seems to profoundly outweigh your official label right now. And that has pretty big implications, for how companies structure teams, how they hire, even how career progression might look in AI. But despite this sort of ambiguity now, the AI engineer label itself,
Mm.
it's definitely gaining ground if you look at, say, Google Trends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, AI engineering barely registered before late 2022, but then boom, after ChatGPT launched, interest just spiked massively. And it hasn't really slowed down. So it's a title that's claiming its space.
Okay, that makes sense. And it's not just about titles, right? It's also about experience levels, which I have to say I found really paradoxical. This is where it gets really interesting for me. Many of our most seasoned developers, people with tons of experience, are actually AI newcomers. How does that work?
Well, it implies this dramatic flattening of traditional tech career ladders, specifically within AI. The data backs this up pretty clearly. Among software engineers with like 10 or more years of experience, nearly half have been working with AI for 3 years or less.
Half. Wow.
Yeah. And maybe even more surprising, 1 in 10 of these veterans only started dabbling in AI in the past year,
Just the last year.
just the last year. It really emphasizes that change is like the only constant right now,
Yeah.
even for the most experienced people in tech. It suggests that, while sure, deep technical experience is valuable, AI itself is a bit of a great equalizer. It forces even seasoned vets to become active learners again, which, might inspire some listeners and maybe daunt others.
Definitely food for thought there. So, with all these experienced newcomers jumping in alongside everyone else, what are these AI engineers actually building? The survey had some clear answers, didn't it?
It did. The core finding really is that more than half of the respondents are actively using large language models, LLMs, and they're using them for both internal stuff like company operations and external customer-facing things.
And within that LLM usage, OpenAI seemed to have a pretty strong position.
Oh, yeah. A striking lead, actually.
Hmm.
3 out of the top 5 models used for external cases, and get this, half of the top 10,
Mm.
all from OpenAI.
Wow. Okay. And what are the main things they're using them for?
The primary applications observed were code generation and code intelligence. That was huge, followed closely by things like writing assistance and content generation. So it's not just about, simple chatbots. It's about embedding LLMs much more deeply into core workflows.
What also caught my eye was the breadth of use. It wasn't just one thing per person.
Not at all. Most users aren't just deploying an LLM for one single purpose.
Yeah.
The survey found 94% are leveraging LLMs for at least 2 different use cases,
94%.
and 82% use them for at least 3.
Okay, so what does that multi-purpose adoption tell us about how mature LLM integration is becoming?
Well, it tells us these models aren't niche tools anymore. Not by a long shot. They're becoming like foundational infrastructure. They're being woven into multiple layers of an application or a company's operations. It points to a growing sophistication, I think, in how organizations are using LLMs, moving beyond just single-point solutions towards more complex integrated systems.
Right. So given that really widespread and multi-purpose adoption, the next obvious question is, how are these engineers actually customizing and managing the models for all these different jobs? And the survey found something really popular here, didn't it? RAG.
Yes, Retrieval Augmented Generation, or ARAG. 70% of respondents are using it. That makes it, by far, the most popular way people are customizing their systems right now.
70%. Why is ARAG so popular, do you think?
Well, its popularity isn't that surprising when you think about the advantage. It lets you ground the LLM in specific, often up-to-date information without needing to retrain the whole massive model, which is just incredibly efficient and, cost-effective.
Makes
But what was a bit surprising was the sheer amount of fine-tuning happening across the board. The researchers noted it was much more than they anticipated.
Really?
Yeah, especially among researchers and research engineers, which suggests maybe a desire for even greater control or more domain specificity than Argel alone provides.
Interesting. And when you drill down into those fine-tuning methods, what specifically did people say they were using?
So about 40% mentioned using L'Oreal or QLORE. These are pretty ingenious techniques, actually. They let you adapt these huge pre-trained models to new data, but without retraining everything. Saves immense compute time and cost. So it reflects a preference for these parameter-efficient methods.
Okay. Lori on QLORE, what else?
We also saw DPO, that's direct preference optimization and reinforcement fine-tuning. Both of those use human feedback, essentially, to help refine the model's behavior. But the most popular core training approach reported was still good old supervised fine-tuning, plus various hybrid approaches. It's a real mix, which highlights a pragmatic attitude. Use whatever works best for your specific problem.
Right. Pragmatism rules. The pace of updates also seemed incredible. Just shows how fast things are moving.
Absolutely. Over half the respondents update their models at least monthly, and 17% are doing it weekly.
Weekly model updates.
Wow.
But here's the kicker, and frankly, this was a bit of a head-scratcher for me.
Yeah.
Prompts are updated even more frequently.
Oh, yeah. How much more?
Get this, 70% update prompts at least monthly, and 1 in 10 and 10% are updating prompts daily. It's like some folks haven't stopped typing since GPT-4 dropped.
Daily prompt updates.
Yeah.
Wow. It truly illustrates just how dynamic this field is, where even tiny changes to a prompt can significantly shift model behavior. But what's quite surprising, given that rapid iteration, is the prompt management gap.
Yes, tell me about that.
A full 31% of respondents admitted they have no systematic way of managing their prompts, despite changing them so often.
31% with no system. That seems risky, especially with daily changes.
It does raise an important question, doesn't it? About operational maturity in the space. Like, are we building these incredibly powerful AI systems with robust engineering practices underpinning them, or are some teams still kind of flying by the seat of their pants when it comes to crucial things like prompt versioning and collaboration?
Yeah, that feels like a huge blind spot. Okay, so looking at the broader landscape of AI adoption, the survey also talked about something called the multimodal production gap. What's that about?
Right. Basically, it means the usage of image, video, and audio models significantly lags behind text usage for models that are actually in production right now.
Okay. Why is that? Why the gap?
Well, it likely stems from the inherent complexity of multimodal data. It's just harder to collect, label, and process effectively at scale. Plus, the tooling around it is still maturing compared to text. Text-based LLMs just got a head start, essentially.
But is that likely to change?
Seems so. There's a strong indicator, particularly for the future of audio. Among those not currently using audio models, 37% said they have a plan to eventually adopt audio.
37% plan to, okay.
Yeah, which really suggests an audio wave's probably coming. As the models get better, more accessible. It could unlock all sorts of new applications. Think voice assistants, transcription services, interactive media.
Interesting, an audio wave. Okay, and then there are AI agents. The survey defined an agent as a system where an LLM controls the core decision-making or workflow.
Exactly.
And there's a noticeable disparity here right now, isn't there? Like 80% of people say LLMs are working well for them.
Right. Very high satisfaction.
But less than 20% say the same about agents. That's a pretty stark difference. What's holding agents back?
Yeah, it's a big gap. The challenge with agents often boils down to reliability and control. It's one thing for an LLM to generate plausible text. It's quite another to get it to reliably execute a multi-step workflow, especially when it needs to interact with external tools or, real-world systems.
Things can go wrong easily.
Errors can compound very quickly. It's a complex problem.
Yeah.
But Despite these current limitations, the overall sentiment is clear. Agents are coming. Fewer than 1 in 10 respondents said they will never use agents, which indicates really strong future intent. People believe in the potential.
So they see the potential, even if the current tech isn't quite there yet.
Exactly. And it's worth noting that the majority of agents already in production do have write access. They can actually do things.
Oh, interesting.
Typically with a human in the loop acting as a safeguard, of course.
Yeah.
But some are even capable of taking independent actions. So we're seeing early progress.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the real nitty-gritty of keeping these systems running, monitoring, evaluation, storage, what did the survey find there? How are people keeping tabs on these things?
Well, they found that most engineers use multiple methods to monitor their AI systems, not just one silver bullet. 60% use standard observability practices, things like logging, metrics, tracing, basic tracking system health and performance. And over 50% also rely on offline evaluation.
Okay, and for evaluating the actual accuracy or quality of the models.
Again, a combination of methods. Things like looking at user data using benchmarks, but human review. That still remains the most popular approach.
Human review is still king.
Seems so. It really highlights the enduring importance of human judgment in assessing AI quality, which is complex. Internal metrics are also key, obviously, for monitoring how models are being used and understanding their impact.
And what about storage? Particularly for things like RAG, vector databases came up, right?
They did. 65% of respondents are using dedicated vector databases.
65%. That suggests they're providing real value over just using, say, general-purpose databases that happen to have vector extensions.
Precisely. These dedicated databases are optimized specifically for that kind of similarity search needed for RAG and other embedding-based tasks.
And are people building their own or using services?
It's a mix. Among those using dedicated vector DDs, about 35% self-host them, while 30% use third-party providers. So kind of balance between wanting control and opting for convenience.
Got it. So beyond those core engineering practices, the survey also touched on some broader perspectives, didn't it? Future outlooks, even some lighter stuff.
Yeah, some interesting bits there. For example, the vast majority of respondents believe that AI agents should be required to disclose when they are AI and not human.
That seems important for trust.
Absolutely. Points to a growing awareness around transparency. Also, interestingly, respondents said they would pay more for inference time compute, but maybe not by a huge amount. Not by a wide margin, was the phrasing.
Okay. What about the underlying tech, like transformers?
Ah, yes. The majority believe transformer-based models will still be dominant in 2030. Kind of echoing that famous paper title, Attention is All You Need, suggests a strong belief in the fundamental power of that architecture.
So attention is still all we'll need, maybe?
That seems to be the prevailing view, yeah. And most respondents also think that open source and closed source models are going to converge more in the future.
Converge how, in terms of capability?
Yeah, likely capability, performance, maybe even how they're used. It implies a future with potentially more choice and interoperability, which would be interesting.
Okay, and then there was that statistic about AI companions.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
The AI girlfriend-boyfriend question is definitely one of the more speculative ones. They asked respondents to guess the percentage of the U.S. Gen Z population that will have AI girlfriends or boyfriends. The mean guess, 26%.
26%? Wow. That's a significant number.
It is. And the survey report had a bit of fun with it, joking that in this future, people might not know if they're being left on red or just facing latency issues.
Or if the breakup line is, it's not you, it's my algorithm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's humorous, but it really gets you thinking, doesn't it? About the human-AI relationship beyond just productivity tools. It underscores how quickly this tech is potentially permeating really personal, social aspects of life.
Definitely raises some big questions.
Huge questions. But perhaps the most crucial takeaway from the whole survey, the thing that really stood out is the core pain point identified by AI engineers today, was evaluation.
Evaluation. That came out on top as the #1 most painful thing.
Topped the list.
Why? What makes evaluation such a persistent challenge, even with all these advanced tools and techniques we've been talking about?
Well, I think it speaks to the inherent difficulty of reliably measuring the goodness of an AI system. Especially in complex, messy, real-world scenarios. Unlike traditional software, where you can often define really clear pass-fail criteria, AI performance is just, well, it's more nuanced, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not always black and white.
That's exactly. You're dealing with probabilities, potential biases creeping in, unpredictable user-generated content. How do you consistently evaluate things like accuracy, fairness, robustness, usefulness across incredibly diverse inputs and use cases? It's a fundamental challenge that directly impacts trust, reliability, and ultimately whether these AI systems move beyond cool prototypes into robust, dependable production systems. It really highlights a critical area that's ripe for innovation and, frankly, just better tooling.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the main points we've unpacked today from this Amplify survey. We're clearly in a period of really rapid, maybe somewhat chaotic change. We've got this dynamic where even very experienced developers are AI newcomers, which is shaking up team structures. LLMs are absolutely dominating, being used for an incredibly diverse range of tasks, both internal and external. They've proven their versatility.
Right. And WorkGui is king for customization, mostly because it's efficient. But fine-tuning is also far more prevalent than maybe people expected. Yet, kind of paradoxically, prompt management remains this surprising blind spot for a lot of teams.
Hmm.
Definitely an area needing more operational rigor. We're also seeing that clear multimodal production gap text is way ahead of images, video, audio, but there's strong future intent for audio, hinting at, that audio wave coming.
And AI agents, they're definitely on the horizon. People believe they're coming despite the current limitations and the performance gap compared to base LLMs.
And then there's monitoring and evaluation critical areas. Human review is still central to judging quality, and dedicated vector databases are proving their worth for handling the data side, especially for OR.
But ultimately, it seems that persistent challenge of evaluation really stands out. It's the biggest hurdle reported by AI engineers today, highlighting exactly where the most innovation and focus is desperately needed right now. Understanding these trends, these challenges, these shifts, it's absolutely vital for you, whether you're looking to adopt AI, build with it, or really just stay informed in this incredibly fast-moving world. So maybe here's a final thought to leave you with. Given this constant evolution we've discussed and the widespread adoption the survey highlights, what aspect of AI's future, maybe its technical architecture, maybe its societal implications like those AI relationships, what aspect do you think will be the most profoundly different a mere 5 years from now?